What's going on, guys? We're back with another video, and today I've got something to tell you. Forex is a scam. No, that's not true. Don't leave me a bunch of mean comments. I know Forex isn't a scam, but it's also not something that should be treated as an easy pathway to success and money, and that it's all going to be handed right to you if you just study for 1 month. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is your background. So when we all come into trading, we probably saw some guy on YouTube who was flexing his cars and his money, and we thought that was pretty cool. And we decided we didn't want to go get a job. We want to do what that guy's doing because he's winning, and I like what he's doing with his life. So we've been lied to from the start by most of these people who don't trade. They have partnerships with different brokers and platforms, and they're not trading their own money if they are trading. And they flex cars and they flex money and girls, and they tell you that if you just buy their course in a couple months, you can be right there with them, right beside them on the same level. And we believe in that. And we have a lot of misinterpretation of what really goes into trading, especially if you've been just taught that you need to buy somebody's indicators or you need to buy their secret strategy, because there is no cookie cutter strategy. Everybody has a different thing that works for them. And all this stuff from our background has caused us to have the misconception of how money is made in these markets and what it actually takes to make money in these markets. And that leads me to my second point, which is your motivation, which often stems from your background. What is your motivation? Is your motivation to get out of your current situation? Because if you're down on your luck and you need money really, really bad, you probably shouldn't be trading to make that money, because that's going to be in the back of your head, putting extra pressure on you and causing you to make mistakes. If your motivation is to prove people wrong, because other people said you wouldn't be successful. They said you couldn't make it in Forex and that it was all scam and fake. Then you're going to be skewed in your reasons, and it's going to affect your trading. Believe me, trust me. If you've got selfish intentions and you're hell bent on showing people that they're wrong, it will affect your trading in a negative manner, because you're going to want things to happen right now. You're going to think, I can't wait. It's got to happen now. I'm going to over leverage here, because if this works, then I'll stop and I'll go back to what I was doing before and I'll trade smart. And you're going to feel that constant pressure on your shoulders of succeeding in other people's eyes. So you got to have your motivation right. It's got to be for the right purposes. And even if it is for the right purposes, it's got to be the right situation. Because, like I said, you could be down on your luck and you could really need some money right now. But I'm telling you, even though your intentions and your motivations are good, that's not going to put you with a clear mind. You got to have capital that you can afford to lose. And it's hard to go into the market with that mindset, thinking that, I'm only going to take what I can lose with me because there's a chance that I could lose it. And that's already negative thinking. And you don't want to think you're going to lose trades, but you need to be accepted of the fact that that's a very likely possibility. Now, that leads me into my next point, which is your risk. What are you risking? And you need to put a little bit of thought into that, because that's something that not very many people will tell you about, especially as a new trader, especially if you're buying courses from people who are flexing on Instagram, buying indicators and other things that are promised to make you rich. They don't spend any time talking about your risk, which is the most important factor of trading, is your risk. If you don't have solid risk management, it doesn't matter if you have one of the best strategies in the world, because you're not going to be able to manage the few times that you do lose. And you're not going to be able to let your winners go. You're going to get scared because you're risking too much and you can't afford for that trade to come back on you. You can't afford to not secure profits early because of how much you lost on your last trade. So then that trade runs 1 to 20 and you missed out on all that because you had to secure something. So you need to sit down and do some basic math and understand that I want to risk X amount per trade, and I will not risk more than that. And I'm not going to risk less than that because I want to be consistent in what I'm doing. So if I decide I want to risk 1%, then every trade needs to be as close to 1% risk as possible. If I decide that I want to cover at 1 to 3, then you should cover every trade at 1 to 3. If you decide you want to take partials at 1 to 3, then you should take partials on every trade at 1 to 3. You have to be consistent in what you're doing with your risk and with your take profits, with your partials, with covering your position. You have to have consistency because that's the only way to measure the outcome of what you're doing. If you have too many variables, then it's hard to look back on your trades and be like, oh, well, here's my problem because I did something different every time I entered the market. Only if you have consistency within your risk, within your take profits. And I'm not saying that you have to aim for a 1 to 1 or a 1 to 2 or 1 to 4. I'm just saying that if you decide that you're not going to take partials and you're going to hold your trade till the end, then you need to hold your trades until the end. And you need to be consistent in what you're doing, even if your take profit's different. Because I understand I don't target 1 to 4, 1 to 3. I don't have a set RR that I target. I look for liquidity points and I will take those. And I have a minimum. Like I'm never going to take a trade that's less than 1 to 3 RR because to me, that's just not worth it. So as long as it's a higher than a 1 to 3 RR where my take profit is, then it's good with me. And I know what I'm going to do. I know how I'm going to manage my money. I know how I'm going to take my profits. I know if I'm going to partial or not. I have all my rules set down in stone and I know what I'm going to do. So when I hit the markets, I don't have to think. I know what I'm looking for and I do it. And if I lose, then I lose. And if not, then I do what I was supposed to do. I executed my plan and I made a gain on my account. And that leads me into discipline because you can have, your background, which might be messed up. You might have been able to figure it out though. You might have had your motivations down, it's no longer selfish. I have good intent now. I have good motivation. You got your risk down. I'm only risking, what I can afford. I got my plan. I got my whole plan together now. Now it takes discipline because there's going to be times in the market where you're going to go cold. You're just going to go cold. You might hit 5, 6, 7 trades in a row and you feel like you're unstoppable. And then you lose one. You're like, it's no big deal. It's just one trade. Then you lose two. You're like, okay, I'll win my next one. Lose 3, lose 4. And you're really like, damn, man, this is getting tough out here, Lost 5 in a row. It takes discipline when you've lost 4 and 5 in a row. When you did everything right, you had good intent, managed your risk, you took good trades, you did everything you were supposed to do right, and you still lost. That's when discipline kicks in because you have to understand that your strategy is nothing more than an edge that gives you a slight favor of probability. Your strategy is not supposed to work every time. And if it's a 60% win rate, that doesn't mean that you're going to win 6, lose 4, win 6, lose 4. There's going to be a random distribution between your wins and losses. There are going to be times where you win 8 in a row, and then times where you lose 8 in a row. And there's going to be times where you win 10, lose 2, and then you turn around and you lose 2, you win 10. It's not going to be the same every time. It's going to be a snowflake. It's going to look different no matter how you do it. And that's why you got to have the discipline to stay mentally locked in during the hard times and the good times. Because it's just as easy to hit a hot streak and go 8 in a row and then think, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to risk double now because I can't miss. And then before you know it, you've tanked your account off of one middle mistake. And that's all it took. And that leads me into my last point, which is time. This is something that takes a lot of time. First off, you got to have the right motivations. Okay, you got to have your mind in a great spot. You got to have your risk down. You can't be bringing, more money to the table than you can afford to lose. You got to control your risk and you got to be consistent with what you're doing. Next, you got to have the discipline to execute your plan and do everything right, even when it's hard and even when you're on top of the world, you still got to do the right thing. You got to execute your plan. And the last is time. This is going to take time. This isn't something that you're going to be able to go do in a month. This isn't something that's going to take you a few weeks of hard concentration and then you can go out into the world and do it. It's going to take you months. And it's probably going to end up taking you a couple years. It could even take you longer than that. But that's what I'm saying is I'm trying to prepare you for something that nobody else is going to want to prepare you for. No one's going to tell you that it's going to take you 2.5 years to be able to make money from this, who's selling you a course. They're going to tell you it's going to take you a couple weeks. They're going to say, but maybe a month, and you'll be ready, because they're trying to sell you something. Nobody's going to tell you the truth that even if I give you this information, even if I show you what to do, and you get down and you do everything you're supposed to do, it could still take you 2 years to get this. That's what no one's willing to tell you. And that's what 90% of people aren't willing to do. They're not willing to take 2 years of losing. They're not willing to handle that. They can't mentally handle that because they think that this needs to happen right now because their background was messed up and they had the wrong motivations. It's like it's the foundation. And if one of these pillars isn't solid, then the whole building's going to come down. If you can't fix the things that happen in your background where you had the wrong idea about what trading was about, and now you got your motivations right, you want to do this for yourself. You don't want to do this for anybody else. You don't want to do this so you can go flex on people. You want to do this because it's something that you really want to do and you're interested in the markets. Number 3, you got your risk down. You know what? I worked hard. I saved up money. I can afford to lose this money now. It's not going to break me. You got your risk down. Discipline. I'm going to do the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it's easy. I'm going to continue to do the right thing. And last is time. I'm willing to put the time in. I'm willing to lose for the next 2 years and keep my head down and keep focusing and not give up and not quit and not lose anything else that I've already gained. I'm not going to lose my motivation. I'm not going to mess up my risk. I'm not going to mess up my discipline. It's just going to take time. And if you do all that, I guarantee you're not going to see Forex as a scam anymore, because you're going to be able to put money in and you're going to be able to pull more out than you put in. And I promise you that's going to change your life, and it's going to change your mind and your entire perception. Since you came into this, it's going to come full circle. And you're going to say, wow, yeah, I was right. You could make money in this, but it wasn't what I thought. It was a lot harder than I thought, but it was worth it. And all that time and all that work I put in and that discipline and motivation and controlling my risk and doing everything right for those 2 years is finally paying off. And now it's paying off tenfold. So I'll tell you that Forex is not a scam, but it sure as hell isn't easy. So happy Friday, guys. Thank you for being here, and come back. We're going to start uploading more consistently. We're going to be on there 3 times a week. Okay, we're going to link our free Telegram group in the description. Go ahead and join that. I'll link the Instagram, the TikTok, Discord, everything. Okay, we're building a whole community. We're about to go crazy. So everybody get in here while it's early and while you can. Be a part of this. We're going to be doing giveaways, everything else, right? So jump on the ship and let's get after it. I will see you guys on Monday.